around.
Yeah.
Well, you got a little flash of Dane there. I hope you enjoyed that. Hello and welcome. Now, just to pre-warn you, I think even the last time we did a live bake-along, we were all ill as well. And today we are all ill again. I'm a horse. Nikki's coughing. I feel like, Dane, have you got a cough?
No.
Was that a dream I had?
No, I'm good.
No, he's just cleared his throat. It's fine. So apologies for me sounding like a sea lion and then just coughing in the background. It's just one of those things. Just deal with it. If you are also baking through illness, please let me know. It's nice to have some solidarity. Well, welcome. Welcome to the Cupcake Jemma studio with me, Cupcake Jemma. We're going to be doing scones today, which is something it was one of my first recipes on the channel actually, and it's had a couple of iterations since then, and I really enjoy scones, which is good because I've been baking a lot of them of late, because I wanted to get the recipe, because it's been a long time since I developed that original recipe, and like we've had a couple, like Sally did a version. I just wanted to make sure it was all A-okay for you guys. So this recipe, you might notice if you're a Cupcake Jemma scone aficionado, is ever so slightly different to all of them, and that's just because I've tweaked things, and I think it's really important to tweak your recipes to make sure that they're the best they can be. So don't be alarmed if you're like, but hang on a minute, your original scone recipe has 115 grams of butter. Just trust me, it's all fine. And if you want to do that one, that's all right as well. I just think I've improved it. So yeah, there's a lot of debate in scone land about how to pronounce scones. How do you pronounce scones? I'll give you a clue as to what the right pronunciation is. I'm doing it. In my opinion. It's either scone or scone. Jess,
Scone.
are you a scone?
Scone. Scone is in gone.
Scone is in gone,
Yeah.
not scone as in
Prone?
prone.
Moan?
Moan, yeah, let's try a negative word to rhyme it. Dane, are you a scone or a scone?
I don't know now.
Oh no, it's like when you say,
Scone.
do you say envelope or envelope? You're like,
I think
ooh,
I'm
don't
a
know.
scone.
You're a scone?
Yeah.
Nikki, are you a scone or a scone?
I don't know.
She doesn't know either. Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you don't know what you say when someone asks you, do you?
Is it like a north-south?
I don't know if it's a north-south thing. If anyone out there says scone, tell us where you're from. Maybe we can work it out by some sort of graph.
Someone said scone is in stone.
Scone is in stone, thank you. Like the rhyming, with my ability to rhyme things.
Better than moan.
Yeah, it is probably better than moan, isn't it? Although I will moan at you if you say scone. If you want a shout out, please write your name and where you're from. I'll do it a little bit later, or we'll do it a little bit later, because at some point we're going to have our hands covered in butter and flour. So do that now if you want me to give you a shout out, because you're not going to be able to type, because you're going to have flour and butter, and at some point scone dough hanging off your fingers. It's not a good look to your phone. Your iPhone won't thank you. So the first thing I'm going to do today, and you don't have to do this if you've gone out and bought yourself a jar of strawberry jam. That is A-okay, because I love a bit of strawberry jam from a jar. But if you want to do it yourself, I'm just going to make a quick jam, which is what we call goo. And I've got 200 grams of fresh hulled and chopped strawberries here. I'm still working my way through the absolute motherload of strawberries that I picked with Eden a couple of weeks ago from a local farm. Like we've got about 3 kilos of strawberries in our freezer. It's actually a bit embarrassing. So I've got, that was 200 grams of strawberries, and I've got 60 grams of caster sugar. Just scatter that over. Give it a little shuffle, just to sort of make sure that the strawberries are coated, because that will start to macerate. Macerate! And if you don't know what that means, it's basically where the sugar or the salt draws the liquid out of the fruit, and it starts the process of like liquefying it. But we're going to add some heat because you can't really make jam without heat. I think if you whizzed up some strawberries with sugar without heat, it would just be a coulis. Oh, see what that beeping is? It's because my pretty little pink pan doesn't work on this hob. So hold that thought. Let's do it in this guy. Oh, it was such a shame because it was such a pretty pan. You'll get your moment, don't worry. Right, let's try that again, shall we? So, in the right pan, pop it onto a low to medium heat. Oh, not this pan as well. What is actually happening?
I think it's just the really small pans.
It's the really small pans. Okay. Let's use every single pan in the building. This isn't part of the jam making process, by the
You
way.
don't need to switch all the pans.
Yeah, this is completely optional. It's up to you. If you wanna use 3 pans to make one tiny bit of jam, go ahead. Okay. So we finally got a pan that doesn't beep at us, so that's good. So you are gonna not really do much to this. Give it a stir, just to sort of, like I said, make sure we are macerating. And also, you don't want to have it too high because what will happen is the sugar will start to caramelize before the juice from the strawberries has come out, and it will end up giving it a bit of a bitter taste. We don't want that. We want it nice and gentle. But you're basically going to leave that. And I'll come back to it in a minute because I want to get my trusty potato masher. Actually, I don't really like this one, but you just use whatever potato masher you like, which I find really helps with the strawberries just because they're quite sort of fleshy, unlike a raspberry, which is like mostly juice. They kind of break down really easily. But I find the strawberries make better jam when you give them a little squish. So, I mean, that's it for that, really. And I'll come back to it in a minute. But like I said, if you want to just buy some jam, that's fine. So while that's happening, let's make scones together. So it's really, really simple. And the ingredients are very, like, you've probably got them all in your cupboard, which is great because if you just want to make something, if you just fancy baking today, you don't have to like nip out and buy special things. It's just flour, a little bit of sugar, salt. Hopefully you've all got those. Baking powder, an egg, or an egg and a bit because we use a yolk, and then milk. And that is just as basic as it gets, really. And actually, you don't have to use an egg in your scones. Most scone recipes don't use an egg in the actual batter. And my original one doesn't. But I found that adding an egg just creates a little bit more lightness, and I really like it. So if you're making this plant-based, which is absolutely fine, get rid of the egg. You might need to add a little bit more liquid. So replace the cow's milk with something like oat or soya milk. And what else? Butter. Just use a plant-based, like vegan block. So the hard stuff, not the spready stuff. And they come out really well. You might want to knead them a little bit more. But anyway, these are really easy to veganize. So just every now and then I'm going to shuffle or stir my straws because I'm going to cook those down for quite some time. But anyway, so we have plain flour here, 430 grams of that. I'm going to sieve it. I don't always do this, but it can't hurt. And it also just helps to get any like lumps of flour out. And I'm going to sieve it with all my other ingredients. So I've got 20 grams of baking powder. Now 20 grams sounds like an awful lot, doesn't it? And one of the things I hate most about other people's scones is that you can quite often taste the baking powder and it's got a really sort of salty, soapy flavour, which is really quite unpleasant. So this is a lot, but it's not going to tip it over the edge to tasting like a horrible soap. If you wanted your scones to rise a little bit more than mine, then by all means put some more in, but you might find that you can taste it.
We have a question.
Oh, there's a question.
From Ree. Do we have to use whole milk?
Oh, hi Ree. You can use any milk, really. I mean, I always use whole milk because I don't really believe in like fat-free or low-fat things, just as a rule. And I think the whole milk gives a better flavour. Like the extra bit of fat might have an impact, but really not, probably not, actually. So if whatever milk you've got is fine. Right, so I've got 30 grams of caster sugar. Going to put that in as well. And a little pinch of salt, because salt is really important in all your bakes, I think. So just shuffle that through.
Stephanie asks, would you use buttermilk?
Yes. Yeah, actually buttermilk makes really nice scones. You might find they lift a little bit more, which isn't a bad thing. And they do have a really nice... I've just put half that flour on the counter, sorry. Ugh. You might find they lift a little bit more. You could use buttermilk. You could even use yogurt if you don't have buttermilk. I quite like doing half buttermilk, half milk. Just, I don't know, I just feel like it's a bit more, a bit less lifty. Right. I'm just going to bring you back to Strawberry Land before I get involved in this, because then I won't have my hands. Because the strawberries are at a soft stage, so I'm going to get my potato masher in there and just mush them up a little bit. Like I said, you don't have to do this, but it will help your goo be a bit more jammy. Normally with goo, we would sieve it at the end to make it nice and smooth for like filling cakes and things, but because I'm going to dollop this onto a delicious scone, I'm going to keep the fruit in, but I don't really want like quarters of strawberries like being all big and chunky. I want to give it some, and also I want all that juice to reduce. Didn't intend to rhyme that, it just happened. So once you've given that a little squash, you're not trying to like smooth it out or anything, just squash it. You can leave it, and just every now and then just give it a little stir about. The colour's going to darken, it's going to get thicker. It's never going to be like jarred shop bought jam, because we aren't doing it for ages with like pectin and stuff. It's really, really simple. It's just like knock up a jam in one. What do I prefer? Jam or goo? Well, I must say I do love a jar of jam, just because it's like, you know, it just stays where you put it. This is a little bit sloppy in a good way, but like, and it's really tasty, but it will run off, so you have to like eat your scone really quickly. Just fine. So back to my scones. So just to make sure everything's mixed in, I'm going to just whisk it a little bit, but the sieve did most of the work there, so it's fine. And now, oh, it's time to get your hands in there, but I need to get my butter. Bye, Dane. Because I've kept the butter in the fridge, because you want to make sure it's really nice and cold. Because in the same way as pastry, sort of same reason as pastry, you don't want it to melt, you don't want it to get soft, you don't want it to become, if it gets too soft, what will happen is you'll end up with a sort of pliable dough. You don't want that. You want this to be short, and for there to be every now and then little bits of butter. But what we're going to do is we're going to rub this together. You've probably seen me do this before. So I've cut them nice and small, these chunks of butter, so that I don't have to work too hard. But I'm just kind of rubbing them between my thumb and my fingers to kind of smush them through the flour. And this does take some time. So this will be a great time for Dane and Jess to tell me who you are and where you come from.
We've got loads of people. So
great.
There's Mariam, can't wait. Donna, eagerly waiting. Ruth Crossland, it's her birthday today. She
Ruth,
is
happy
65.
birthday! 65! Oh, happy birthday, Ruth.
Kathy is so excited for this. My cakes usually turn out lovely, but my scone making ability is utterly crap. They end up in the bin.
Oh no, not in the bin. God.
Donna agrees.
What's that?
Donna agrees. She's never mastered them.
Oh, it's so simple, and hopefully by following along in real life, sort of, you won't have a bin-worthy scone ever again.
Terry says good morning. Everyone's wishing Ruth a happy birthday. Who else?
We've got Asperto from Goa.
Asperto from Goa. Hello, that's very far
And
away.
we've got
Love to be in Goa
Carolyn
right now.
from Sydney.
Hi, Carolyn.
We've got Tamara from Calgary.
Calgary. I've got a friend in Calgary.
Yeah.
Maybe you know him. He's called Corin.
Lisa from Ontario.
Louisa. Lisa from Ontario. Hello, welcome.
Georgia from Greece.
Georgia from
And then
Greece.
we've got a Dave with his daughters Eve and Ellie. Not sure where they're from.
Hi, Eve and Ellie. Oh, daddy and daughter at baking time. Lovely. Dane, just get in here quickly,
Yep.
just to see where I'm at. So hopefully you've all been rubbing your butter and your flour together. We're not there yet, so I just wanted to show you sort of midway through. Got lots of big chunks. We're aiming for small breadcrumbs. I mean, don't get too obsessive about it. And if you did want to use a food processor, or if you didn't have the use of your hands, or you were tired, or you just whatever, food processor, absolutely fine. And actually, it's quite good to use a food processor because you're not adding any extra heat to the mix, and you can do it really quickly. But I quite like doing it by hand because I just really like getting my hands in there. It's just nice to feel, quite a mindful thing. It's a bit like what Sally does on mindful baking. It's just like, just take my time, just rub my butter and my flour together. Right, who else have we got?
Oh, Dave's added that he's from Kent.
Oh, good.
We just need to get that in there.
Jolly
And then
good.
We've got Mo from Austria. Hi, Mo.
Hi, Mo.
Donna says, hey Gemma and team, baking along from sunny Derbyshire. I'm surprised you guys haven't blocked me on Instagram. I tag you that much. And it's Scone as in bone.
Oh, no. Blocked. That's going to get you blocked. The mispronunciation.
Winifred from Queensland, Australia.
Do you know, my dad was a writer, and when I was little, he used to make up stories for us at bedtime. And he had a long running story called Witch Winifred. So whenever I hear the name Winifred, which isn't very often because it's quite she was great. She was a witch who she lived in Mogador, which actually exists. Which sounds really cool, doesn't it? It sounds like Mordor, but actually it's I drive past it sometimes if I drive to Wales. I think it's near like Chessington. Anyway, and she lived in an inside-out cave, and she was inside out because she'd done a bad spell, and as a punishment, the good witch of the land turned her cave inside out. So I hope your house is not inside out as well, Winifred. Right, do you want to have a look at this? We're basically pretty much there. There's a few big ones. I'll just sort of find them and rub them in. But this is looking really nice. Nice and breadcrumby.
Nokia X6 says, can we use self-raising flour?
No. Don't use self-raising flour because it already has raising agents added. I would only ever use self-raising flour for sponges, and on the very rare occasions, we have some of our New York cookies have a little bit of self-raising flour in, just because we found that it creates the perfect texture just when you do a combination. And that's not a rule, that's just something we found through a lot of development. But self-raising flour really isn't for anything but cake. It's lovely and light, and it rises perfectly. But in this case, no, I don't think it would have enough raising agent in it. Don't think. No.
Nope.
Right, here we are. And do you want to come and have another look? So it's not super fine. It's not but it's also not lumpy. It's just right, as Goldilocks might say. Is it Goldilocks who says just right, or is it one of the bears? I can't remember.
That's good. Yeah.
She loves a breadcrumb. Anyway, so that's my flour done. I'm going to make a little well in the bottom because I'm going to put my liquid in there. You might want to you don't have to wash your hands at this point because you are actually going to get messy again. So if you just want to skip that whole thing, feel free. So I also have my milk. I've got 220 grams of milk, whatever milk you like, be it whole milk, semi-skimmed, skimmed. And I'm adding to that an egg. I'm just going to whisk that all together. And like I said, I have got a lot of recipes for scones don't have an egg, and it's fine. I find that this makes them just a bit lighter, and eggless scones are just a bit more dense, and that's fine. That's actually what some people like. Some people like a bit more of a heavier scone. That's not me, so I'm adding my egg. And I added it to the milk just so that it was easier to distribute. I don't end up with blobs of egg. Because the mixing process for this next bit... Where's my fork gone, guys? I had my fork. I had a
Oh, it's here.
Oh, it's here. It's hiding. Nick, you should have seen how quickly Nikki got up there. She was like, I'll get it. But it was unnecessary. So grab yourself a fork, just a good old-fashioned eating fork. And that's what we're going to use to mix this in. So into the middle of the well, pour your milk and egg mixture. Lovely. And then we're going to just mix it gently. So we sort of start by bringing the edges in to the middle. And then I just quite like to go like this, cut through and fold it. Why do we do it like this? I mean, you could do it with a spoon. I feel like a fork is just better at gently mixing, so we're not overworking the flour, so we maintain that nice lightness we want. And it's going to look shaggy. And at this point, if you wanted to add any additions, so while it's still really shaggy and you've still got a little bit of mixing to do, if you wanted to make fruit scones or chocolate scones, or give my little gooey stir. Oh, turns out this hob is really hot. The lowest setting on this hob is actually really hardcore, so hopefully yours isn't fiercely bubbling away like mine. So yours might take a little bit longer if you've got it on a better heat. But yeah, like I said, this hob is actually really annoying. Anywho, oh yes, so now you would put in your fruit. So if you wanted to make like sultana scones, a top tip would be to soak your sultanas first. Maybe add like 100 to 120 grams of sultanas, but soak them first in something like tea. Like Earl Grey is really nice because it's sort of a little bit more complex than normal tea. You could soak them in juice. I wouldn't soak them in booze because I don't think there's a place for alcohol in scones, but if you want to do that, then that's totally fine. You could do chocolate chips, you could do frozen fruit. But yes, you want to add it in while it's still sort of shaggy because you don't want to break it all up too much. And then so once it's like most of the dry, so we've got a little bit of dry at the bottom, I want to try and incorporate that a little bit, mainly by just sort of moving it around the bowl. And I'm going to get it off my fork. And this is where things can get a little bit messy. So grab yourself a little bit of extra flour if you haven't already. I've got mine in a little bowl here just for ease. And just dust your worktop because this is really sticky. And you'll turn out your scone dough. Like, look, it is really like squishy. So it's definitely a sticky little number. But we don't want to overwork this. There are people out there who bake scones who really work the dough. Phil Curry from Harrods, I'm looking at you. He likes to, his is a slightly different recipe, doesn't have eggs, but he really works the dough and really activates that gluten. I've found that they become a bit dense if you do that. So what I like to do is just get it onto a floured worktop and literally, flour the top a little bit. Flour your hands as well and just squeeze. And if it feels like it's sticking to the bottom, just add a little bit and just sort of spread it around a little bit. I'm just squeezing it. That's all I'm doing. I'm not kneading it. I'm not doing anything else. I want to get it into a sort of vague ball. And then, again, just make sure you've got floured worktop. Put a little bit of flour on the top. You can even do this bit by hand, but I find just to get a more uniform look, use a rolling pin or a bottle. Some people use wine bottles, don't they? My goo is ready because, like I said, this hob is ridiculous. Look at this. So I'm going to turn mine off, but if yours doesn't look this jammy and dark, please feel free to keep going, but just keep an eye on it. But I don't want to go crazy. Anyway, back to rolling. So with scones, it's really important to roll in two directions. Don't just roll one way and not the other way. The reason being, when you chop them out and then they bake, if you've ever baked scones and they've gone, ooh, you know what I mean? Is that a good explanation of what happens? In the oven, they go like that.
They like fall over.
Yeah, they fall over. They fall over. I mean, that's literally all I had to say. And that's probably because you've overstretched it in one direction. So you want to make sure you are rolling it evenly in two directions to try and maintain a nice vertical rise, as it were. So a couple of rolls here, a couple of rolls there. And I want to roll this to roughly, oh, somebody at the door, how exciting. Is it one of you? Are you here? Oh my God, that'd be funny, wouldn't it? Like live streaming an actual real life visit to Crumbs and Dolly. So I'm going to roll it to 2.5 centimeters, roughly an inch. And that's it. And I have a few things going on here. Take this off. I've got a 5 centimeter round cutter. Feel free to use a fluted cutter if that's your vibe. Feel free to use a bigger one. You just might need to add a little minute or two onto the baking time. I found that 5 centimeters is just right. You can see, Dane, if you have a look over here, I baked these this morning. This is what a 5 centimeter scone comes out like. So if you want them bigger than that, go nuts. Beautiful. So it's really important to get your cuts as close together as possible because you can re-roll this dough, but it gets less and less good looking the more you roll it. And also it does affect the texture of it. So go right up to the edge when you make your first cut. And make sure your cutter is also dusted. The first one can be a little bit sticky sometimes if you've got a clean one. So I'm going to take this out. So like I said, this was a clean cutter, so the flour didn't actually stick to it. So this one might actually bake a bit funny because it's all stretched now. But top tip, turn it over. That will give you, the top that you see here. So a nice sort of sharp corner rather than a slopey corner. And then, yeah, keep going. Make sure you dust your cutter in between each one and make sure you get as close to the previous cut as you possibly can.
We've got somebody asking what the thickness of the dough should be before using the cutter.
2.5 centimeters, which is about 1 inch. I'm actually going to put this here because it's really annoying in the bowl. Yeah. And if you want it to be thicker, that's fine too. You'll just need to keep an eye on the baking time because it might need a little bit of extra time. Any thinner, it'll just be a little bit flat, I think. So with these scraps that are appearing, just leave them alone for now because I'll show you how to get the best out of a re-roll. Because like I said, sometimes it can be really ugly. I like to go around the outside first before I go anywhere near the middle bit. Oh, he's upside down already. That was fun. Yeah, you might need a palette knife sometimes, like this one. It's a little bit stuck. So with these bits, I like to layer them on top of each other. And I'll show you when I do my re-roll, I'll show you why that matters. This is actually quite sticky dough. I think it's actually a bit hot in here, hotter than it was earlier. It's really hot. We do have the air conditioning on, but it is not pointed at me directly, which is really nice. How is everyone getting on? I hope you're all...
I mean, everyone keeps saying that their scones look really yummy. So,
Great.
that's a good thing.
Well, the scones that...
I think the ones they're making and the ones that you're making.
Well, let's hope everyone's scones look yummy. I mean, they kind of look a bit weird right now, don't they? Sort of raw dough never looks that nice. Unless it's got chocolate chips in it.
Not sure if I agree.
So take your time with it. You don't want to rush this, especially because this dough is really soft and sticky. So if you sort of drag it too much, you'll end up with a misshapen scone. And we don't want that. So I've reached the middle section now. So I'll probably only get like 1 or 2 out of this, I'd say. Oh, that's annoying, isn't it? I want 1 more so I can make a nice 12 scone display on my tray, alas. So, with your scraps, you're not going to knead them together or anything like that. I like to literally pile them on top of each other with minimal smushing, really. And just basically kind of do the same thing you did earlier, like get them on a floured worktop and just press it into a rough ball. Squeeze it. You might find when you bake them that they end up like, I actually don't know. I think it was these 3. So the crack in it was probably a bit more pronounced on those ones, but actually I can't really tell which ones were the scrappy ones. But there's some that I bake where I haven't done that, and I've really kneaded them together that have they're just not. It's just not the one. So yeah, again, just like before, make sure it's nice and floured. Roll it again in the same way, both ways, to avoid that leaning that we get. And I reckon I'll probably get another 3 out of that. So I'm actually just going to do 1 because I've only got room for 1 on my tray. I have got another tray, but it seems a bit ridiculous to put 2 on it. No, you do you. So that is your dough done. So clear the decks a little bit because there's an awful lot going on here. There's an awful lot of dirt. I've got my trusty pizza dough bench, pizza craft, just a dough scraper. It's so satisfying. Don't do this if you've got like a really fragile wood worktop or something, because you'll have a scratch in it. But yeah, clear the decks. Because now, and by all means, go and wash your hands because they should be covered in all manner of floury. And actually, I do have a little bowl under my counter. Oh, it's still warm. So I'm just going to wash my hands in my soapy water. I could be doing anything under here. I'm going to come up with puppets on my hands. That'd be good, wouldn't it? But no. Yeah. Hang on. No. No, it's just too. I can't think like that. I should have thought about sock puppet. I apologise to all of you out there who were really hoping for a puppet show.
Jag says, I'm still so happy that you guys have got your own studio, shooting live, following you since that chocolate cupcake video 9 or 10 years ago. Love you guys.
Gosh. Well, since the channel's only been going for 10 years, you are one of the OGs. Well, hello and welcome back. Right. Jess, you've got something. She's got something to say.
So I've got somebody, TK, who's just asked if there's any tips for baking in a humid environment, humid country.
I would love to be able to help you, but I don't have any experience. I live in England. It's like sometimes it's humid here, but it's not the right. It's not like Singapore humid. Where is he from?
Doesn't say.
Oh. Yeah, I actually don't know the answer to that. I mean, with like hot climates, when you're making anything like butter, I suppose just keep everything as cool as possible. It's really hard. Like making buttercream in a warm climate must be really annoying. But I would say just, yeah, short bursts in the fridge, maybe, depending on what you're making. I don't know if it probably does affect the rise of things, doesn't it, humidity? Maybe if you are in a humid climate and you've experienced persistent problems, let us know what they are. Maybe we can like brainstorm it. Get my whiteboard out.
We missed a little shout out earlier to Blythe Butler, who's 8 years old.
Blythe, hello. Thanks for joining us. I hope you're baking along, but even if you're not, it's totally fine. Right, you might think, What is she doing? She hasn't put the scones in the oven. I'm so thirsty. I just needed a water break. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to glaze the tops because scones look really, really quite unappealing when you don't glaze the top. So I like to, you could use a whole egg if you wanted. I like to use, these days I like to use a yolk, but with a pinch of salt and a pinch of sugar, which gives it a really nice shine and makes it a really nice consistency to brush on. So I've just whisked that together. Make sure you give it a really good whisk as well, whether you're using an egg or a yolk, because what you don't want is to sort of, you know, when you like brush something and you pick up a glob of egg, there's like this glob of egg just sort of dribbling down the sides. That's not really the nice one. So, pastry brush or whatever brush you've got. If you don't have a brush, I would say do it with your finger. That's probably the safest thing to do because you need to be gentle. It needs to be gentle, like so. That's why we use brushes. You don't want to use it with a spoon or anything like that. So, with your glaze, gently. Don't worry about the flour on it. It really doesn't matter. It kind of all bakes out. So you don't want to put too much on that it's running and dribbling down the sides, but you do want to go right up to the edges to make it nice and neat. So, yeah, just be really gentle. Try not to pull your soft little scones too far in one direction.
Peter Kilner says, hi, please, can you do a recipe for iced buns at some point?
Oh, Peter, you are talking our language, and maybe Sally has overheard your mind because she's actually got an iced bun recipe coming real soon. When is it coming, Nikki, queen of the schedule? Friday the 2nd of August, you, Peter, will be treated to a mindful bake from Sally, which is iced buns. And we've all seen the video, haven't we? It's not only do they look really good, the video itself is so relaxing, isn't it? Well, I didn't get a chance to taste them. I quite often don't get a chance to taste them. Dave was doing recipe testing this week, and I missed out on like 2 really delicious. He sent pictures in our group chat. Shall I tell them?
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't you tell them?
Oh, it was a chocolate Basque cheesecake and a Boston cream pie cake.
2 solid, delicious recipes. And I really wanted to try the Basque cheesecake because it looked so delicious. But
yeah, the cheesecake was good.
Stop rubbing it in. I wasn't there that day. I was there when he tested the recipe, but you have to wait like 24 hours, and I wasn't in the next day. Gutted.
Well, everyone downstairs really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Oh, good for everyone downstairs. Could you not have like couriered me a piece to?
No, there was none there. Sorry.
Oh, did it all go?
Pardon?
Did it all go? Oh wow.
Of course it went. Of course it's not. That's gonna last very long.
Delicious.
And Bronny D says, are all the cakes in the background real?
No, they are dummy cakes that we made for a photo shoot. So when we're doing photo shoots, unless we're taking pictures of the inside of a cake, we will always use dummy cakes. They're just made out of polystyrene. All the like bits and bobs you see are all real. Like it's real icing, it's real chocolate, but the inside is polystyrene, so not that tasty.
Yeah, they don't taste as good.
And Bronny, if you go onto the Crumbs and Doilies Instagram, you can see a behind the scenes of what we used them for and how we made them. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Right, I have glazed. Look at the lovely yellow because we use such brilliant eggs, organic free-range eggs. So they're always just such a lovely colour. You don't want a horrible battery farmed egg. Not only is that just horrible for the chickens, you just get like anemic yolks, and it's just not very nice. Also, it affects the flavour. It really does. Anywho, if you wanted to sprinkle something on the top, like, I don't know, some seeds, go nuts. But I'm just going to keep these simple because I'm a simple gal. So I have my oven preheated to 180 degrees C. I didn't tell you that earlier. Hopefully you read my mind. I'm pretty sure you're all capable of that. 180 degrees C. If you haven't read my mind and you're like, sugar, nearly swore, I didn't put my oven on, don't worry, these will be fine. Just leave them to one side. And then bake them when your oven is ready. But I'm going to bake them for, you want to do them for 10 to 12 minutes. I'm going to do mine for 12 because I actually baked some this morning and 12 was just right. But you might find your oven's a little bit hotter than mine. Oh, I'm a bit hot and my shirt's falling off. So I'm having like wardrobe malfunctions. So that is essentially it. So why don't we have a chat? Is there anyone out there with anything to say to me? How is it going? Has anyone experienced problems with scones before? Like consistent problems, and they're like, why does it always do this?
I haven't seen any scone-related things yet, but there might be some a little lower down. But SJA says, hi, I made your end of the world chocolate cake for a friend's birthday recently. It turned out amazing and it was fun to make. Also made your Swiss meringue buttercream recently. Love your recipes.
Thank you.
Zoe McDonald says, can you make cake pops? We actually have a recipe in the Crumbs and Doilies recipe book up there.
We do.
Isabella says, did you know you can make butter with cream?
Yeah. You can make butter with cream. Do you know how? All you do, literally, is put your cream in. You want to do it with a KitchenAid, really. Unless you've got an old-fashioned butter churner, which would take forever and a lot of like. But you can basically put your cream, it has to be double cream, so the like fattiest cream you've got, into the bowl of your mixer. And with the beater, beat it. Beat, beat, beat. First of all, it'll go to whipped cream, and then it'll go, you know when you over whip cream and it starts to split? You'll get to that stage, and instead of panicking and going, oh no, I've split my cream, just make it into butter, because after, it does take quite a long time. After a while, what happens is the whey in the cream separates from the solids, like the buttery bit, and you'll end up with, and it's a good idea if you are doing this in a KitchenAid, to cover the top with cling film, because it really splatters when it gets to this point, because you have to do it quite fast.
You can do it in a food processor as well.
Can you?
Yeah, I think so. I've seen it.
Oh, that's great, because it's already got a lid.
Lid, yeah.
So it's not going to fly out.
Aussie Angie says, hi from Australia. I love your channel.
Oh, thank you. Hello.
Tiffany Tennant says, hi. Rose Lewis says, I usually glaze with milk. Just milk.
Milk, you can glaze with milk. It's not as yellow and it's not as shiny, but you could do that. Or you could do it with a yolk with a bit of milk, again.
Louise Pie says, you've made me a better baker. Thank you so, so much.
Aww.
The implicit trust I have in your recipe is a great one, you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Raven says, if I'm doing cheese ones, I glaze with buttermilk and more cheese.
Yeah, so if you are doing cheese, just add like 100 grams of really mature cheddar grated.
Yeah.
And add it when I said earlier, like at that shaggy, not quite mixed stage. And I would also, if I'm doing cheese ones, I tend to add a little bit more salt and a bit of paprika. And it's really nice. And then maybe sprinkle a little bit of paprika on the top once I've glazed it. Yum. I'm just going to get my cooled goo. So this is the goo in the pan. This is still a bit warm, so I'm not going to use this. Otherwise, it's going to melt my clotted cream. But that's where you want it. And like I said, normally, if we're making goo for any other reason, we'd sieve that when it was still hot so that it was nice and smooth. But I don't want that. I want some lumpy bits. You know, when I was a kid, I was such a fussy eater, and I would like jam with bits in or yogurt with bits in. I would be like, no! Now I love it. I love a bit. So I'm getting my clotted cream out. And here we're going to start the fight, I suppose, between Cornwall and Devon, or just people out there who aren't there. And if there is anyone from Cornwall and or Devon here with us today, please do let us know. And calm down. We don't want to fight you. I actually can't remember which way around it is. All I know is that I prefer to put jam first and cream on top. And we always use clotted cream here in this country. And I appreciate that that is not always difficult, not always easy to find. where you are. If it is difficult to find where you are, you can actually make clotted cream yourself. I've never actually done it, but you can heat.
Someone asked earlier.
Yeah, you can heat the cream. I don't know for how long. You might have to Google it. You heat the cream and then chill it, and what happens is the really thick cream part of it rises to the top, and that's the clotted cream. So you can see this is clotted cream, and it is like uber thick. So it's really sticky. Right, it's not like whipped cream. It's like sticky, which is frankly just the best. It's just the best. I love it. Quite often Dane has clotted cream and lemon curd for breakfast, don't you?
Just a snack,
Just like a pot of it. My little guys are still baking in there, so we'll just leave those there. Yeah, so your scones will probably still be baking, and I really hope they all come out. But we're going to eat some scones now because I can't wait for you.
We've got a little jam first, people.
Jam first is the way. And actually, I did a poll on my mini Cupcake Diaries Instagram because I made I made a lot of scones in preparation for this, just to make sure, like I said, the recipe was right. And I did a poll, and about 75% of people had jam first. So. Jess doesn't agree. Jess, I think you should come. I think you should come over here.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Jess needs to.
I've been waiting for this all week.
This is Jess.
Hello, everybody.
Come on this side. Jess is our because
Some
there's
washing on the floor.
there's washing up there. Jess is our ops manager here at Crumbs and Doilies, and she is a self-confessed cream first person.
Yeah,
Weird.
the Devonshire way.
Is it?
Yeah, you're
Oh.
Cornish.
Yeah. Well, I've always liked Cornwall. I actually really like both places. So I'm going to do both, and then Jess can eat them, and we can talk about it. So let's get a nice scone. So my scones tend to split in the middle, which is great because it means I don't have to do too much work to separate them. But they should look like this. Lovely and lovely. I don't know how else to describe it. Lovely and lovely.
They look soft and fluffy.
Yes, soft and fluffy. Thank you, Jess. So let's do two because I want some too. You might need to help it out a little bit if it's not kind of going in the right direction. Sorry, everyone. I've got a front note. I'm going to go all the way. I thought it was going to be nice and neat like the last one, but no. Okay, so here we go. And we'll do. What are we going to do? Jam first.
Okay.
On one side.
So this is your way.
This is my way. And the reason I like to do it this way, that's a bit much actually. The reason I like to do it this way is because a little bit of the jam sort of absorbs, not to make it soggy, but like just absorbs into the crumb of the scone. And then the cream goes on top, and the cream sticks to the roof of your mouth when you eat it, meaning that that goes down a bit slower as well. And you get a nice sort of consistent mouthful of jam. We need more than that. Also, you can put as much cream on as you like. Because clotted cream's really sticky, you might want to use 2 spoons for this. And I like the look of it way, way more. Some people were like, oh, but it slides around on the jam. And I'm like, so
See,
what?
that's what I
It does it, but it whichever way around you do it is quite slidey. But it looks heaps better. And also, like I said, you can put as much cream on as you like. Whereas this way
is a lot.
round, yeah, this way round feels like,
The more
because
the better.
a lot of people were saying, oh, you know, cream is dairy, so that's a spread. So you need to spread it. And I was like,
see,
so
I get
jam's a
that.
spread. Like, where's the, I don't understand that logic at all.
No, I get that. It's like the butter almost.
Yeah, but it's not.
I do quite like a scone with butter and
Oh,
jam as well.
I love
So
a scone
good.
with butter. I think that my first ever scone was actually with butter. I find this quite difficult as well because clotted cream's really sticky. When you try and spread it, it sort of pulls up the crumbs a little bit. So that's another reason I don't like it. So it's quite difficult to spread. You can see it like it's like glue. Jess is tutting in.
I mean,
She's
I think
like,
it's
I don't care.
worth it.
And then a wee bit of jam which I just don't like the look of this as much.
I feel like that looks neater. No?
No,
No,
you've got to
very.
have pale, dark, pale. Not pale, pale, dark. Like, aesthetically.
No, this is winning. That one, particularly.
What do you think? I hope you're typing frantically away to agree or disagree. We've got 2 minutes. Right.
Shall we?
Why don't you try your one first?
Okay. Right, I'm going to go for this one.
Okay.
I mean, it's delicious.
Okay. Okay. So I find the jam, when I do it this way around, slides down my throat before I've had a chance to taste it. But
I'm not having that problem.
she's
It's not stuck in my
retaining
throat.
the jam. Okay.
Maybe it's my technique.
I'm going
I kind of want
have a
to
bite.
eat the rest, but that one.
And also, I'm not tasting the cream as much. It's not as creamy. Put that down. You've got a whole...
It's so good. Right, I'm going to go for this one.
All right. Here we go.
Okay.
Oh, no.
I feel like I can taste the jam more the other way around. Because it's...
Interesting.
I'm
Well,
not sure why. Maybe it's because it's in the roof of my mouth. Or
maybe.
Maybe.
I'm sticking with my jam
I mean, they're
first.
both delicious. They're both so good.
She has it right. They are. Well,
Ooh, what about
these aren't quite ready yet. Not going to be ready for a little bit.
jam, cream, jam? Never thought of that.
Jam,
Jam,
cream,
cream, jam.
jam. Well, do you know what? Yes, because that's more of everything. But a lot of people, and it seemed like the people who were saying this were almost exclusively from Ireland. And they were all saying butter, jam, cream. And I am here for that. I actually can't believe I didn't have butter now. Maybe we could try that, because yum.
Okay, those two go right. That would be great.
Oh, let's eat more scones. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. These are gonna be coming out. Well, actually, I think I'm gonna add a little bit of time to them. They look a little bit like they need a minute, but hopefully your scones have baked perfectly and you are never going to have problems with scones ever again. Please let us know how yours came out. If you take a picture, put it on Instagram, #Cupcake Jemma. If you're a member of the Bake Club, please put your pictures in the Bake Along chat there. And if you are a member of the Bake Club, good news for you, we're sticking around. We'll be back 5 minutes from now. Is that right? 2:30. I have no idea what the time is. Oh. Okay, so we'll be back in 35 minutes. Oh, just enough time to eat some scones. To answer your questions, we'll be doing an Ask Me Anything. You can ask me or Dane. You can even ask Jess if you want, Nikki. We're all here. And if you're not a member yet, you've got time to sign up right now if you want to ask me anything. So please do that. It's a really great way of supporting the channel. And it's a fun place to hang out. And you basically get to direct message me and ask me about baking. Oh, hi. Saved by the bell. Yeah, I'll take these out. I can't put them on the counter because, oh, but yeah. These have turned out a little bit rounder than...
the little thing.
Oh, yeah. You're right, aren't you? Oh, here we go. So, yeah. They're a bit split more than the other ones, but there you go. Delicious scones. This one here is probably one of my, well, that was my re-rolled one. So when it bursts through the surface, sometimes that can be why. But it doesn't really matter because it all tastes great. So I hope to see you soon. I hope to see you at another bake along. And if not, just, say hi on Instagram or in the comments.
We have a couple more things from people on
Trying to wrap
here
it up.
before
There's people talking. Go for it.
Melody says, this is looking fantastic. Gemma, darling, I'm here for a few minutes just to say that I'm sorry she has to leave soon because she's having friends over tonight. She must prepare a 3-course dinner for 7 people.
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
Doff Mayer
Good luck with
says, can you make the dough the night before to bake them in the morning?
I've never tried that. But if you do that, I would say, A rest can't hurt, but I would prefer to do my resting once they've been chomped. So I actually don't know what would happen there.
I think you can.
I'm gonna have to try it and just tell me.
You can definitely do that. Chomp them and then.
Yeah, but he's talking about making the dough.
Oh.
I would say put it in the fridge, but bring it out like 20 minutes before you want to roll it because it might be a bit firm.
Yeah. Rose Lewis says, what is the texture of your scones as Aussies like them, light and fluffy? I'm wondering if using eggs changes the texture.
Yeah, so I like them light and fluffy. Some scones I've had have been quite dense and heavy, which isn't wrong. It's quite an old-fashioned scone vibe, and I think it doesn't matter too much when you cover it in clotted cream. If you're eating it on its own, then yeah, you're really going to feel that weight. But when you've got spread and stuff on it, you can get away with a bit more of a heft. The recipes that I've tried where you knead the dough quite a lot and then you rest them for ages and there's no egg, do bake a little bit closer. That's just my experience.
Yes. Where did it go? I've lost it. I've lost the comment. But
Same.
so many people saying jam, cream on top. Rebecca says jam
Cream on top,
always
yes.
first.
Correct. Last. Cream last.
Wrong.
No. Right.
What else? 88 Taffy likes jam, cream, than fresh berries.
Fancy.
I think that's about it. There was a couple of questions, but I seem to have lost them. There's so many.
Apologies if that was your question that you missed out. That Jane missed.
I'm so sorry.
I bet the people will forgive you. It's going to be fine, Dane.
Yes, I think it'll be okay. If not, just join the Bake Club. We're having a Q&A on right there afterwards. So.
Yes, exactly. We'll see you there, hopefully. Thanks so much for joining us. I really love it when you guys join us for the live bake-alongs. Big love to you. And sorry if we missed your shout-out and your questions. I'm sure we didn't. I think these guys are pretty good.
We got most of them.
Yeah. Anyway, I will see you soon.